So if you haven't committed your change already and pushed your code, go ahead and do that now before we go on to the next step. Because what I want to show you now is how you can actually set up profiles for your users. Now, creating a profile seems like a complicated task, but it's actually quite simple given what we have so far. The main thing is we already have users, and we're going to need to basically create a new controller to show our user's profile. And in fact, even though we have controllers that handle registration and login through device, and we have all of these controllers, one thing we don't have is a user's controller. So if you remember the 4 major CRUD actions, create, read, update, and destroy, we're going to create a controller to just do one of those actions, which is the read action on my user. And that's quite simple. So I'll actually do this by running it as a generate command. So Rails generate controller. And this is a lot like when we first did the pages controller. So this is controller users. I believe it's users. And what we need is a show. OK. Let's make sure that worked properly. There we go. So this should create the controller. It also should have created a user's show.html.erb. Now, first things first, I'll do this like we do with a tweet. So I'll take this, I'm going to paste it into user's controller, except instead of tweet, it's going to be user equals user find by params ID. OK, so that's one difference. Now we're going to get to the actual magic of kind of how Rails routing works, because how am I going to actually pass this ID through? What I want is that users/1, say, takes me to the first user, and that 1 is the param. However, our route isn't set up that way. Right now, we just have get users show. So there's a few ways you can do this. One way is doing something like, let's see, Rails routes. I definitely recommend you reading just the routing in general. It shows you can actually take in an ID like this. So it shows you how you can change this, this line here. So get user's ID like that with a colon, and then 2, and then I could set the controller and the action that I want it to go to, which could be in single quotes or double quotes, doesn't matter here. It's the user's controller, and it's the show action. In fact, by the way, this 2 is actually equivalent to what we're doing here with this arrow. So I could go in and I can change this to that. It's the same thing. And I believe the 2 formatting is actually the most updated way of doing this. So I'll go in for now, and I'll change this for all of them. Now, does the order of this matter? For the most part, no. But sometimes the ordering will affect like what loads first. So you might want to end up like grouping similar things together. But for now, this should be fine. So because I named this ID, when I go up here, that first, the number here, whatever it is, it's going to be accessible inside of my controller through this params thing. In Ruby, this is called a hash. And this is the key, ID. So literally anything that I named inside of that, like I could have called this something different, and then I could refer to it like this. But the user find method right now just finds something based on its ID. We can change this later, and that's a little bit of a hint as to how we can change this so that you're passing in someone's username. In fact, let me actually do that now. First of all, user show, let me just show quickly. I'll put this inside of a container class. And tab this in with command right bracket. And this will be, now I have the user accessible because I got that out in the controller. So I can show the user name, and maybe I'll show, maybe I'll show the username, and then here in the paragraph tag I'll just show the name, just to give you guys an indication of how this would work. Okay, so this is my user and my test user. And if I update the number, obviously, there's me. This is by ID. Now, if you wanted to do this by username instead, here's how you do it. The first thing is I would open up the routes, and instead of ID, I would call this username, because I'm not getting the ID anymore, I'm getting the username. And now this technically doesn't matter, because it only, you can just call it an ID anyway, right? And you just pull by the ID here, but when you're in your controller, it'll be clear to read. And now you can't just do user.find params username, but in Ruby and Rails, the command here would be find by, and then we can look for someone by their username. So this, now the to won't work, because there's no user with the username to. Fine, yeah. But put in a username like Matan Grafel, and now, boom. Or, user, boom. So I could go in now, and I could say, go to tweets, see your account. Maybe I want that to link to my user profile. So I could, inside of the tweets index page right here, I could change this to, instead of just showing a username, I could do link to. How would this route look? Well, let's check out our Rails routes. I believe it should be user's path. Let's see. I'll look on the right hand for the user's controller. Here we go. Oh, there's no prefix for this. Okay, so we need to create a path for this. Generating paths. So we can add as user to the routes file. So as user. Let's see if that updated the route. Here it is. Okay, so now there's a prefix, which means I can use user path. And anytime you have a path that takes something in it, you have to pass that through as an argument. So here, link to user path current user.username. And this, let's see, the first argument in link to is going to be the actual text. The second is where it goes. So we actually need to flip these around. Username, and then the second is where it's going. So let's make sure this is working. Yep, now this is a link that sends someone here. Perfect. And we'll probably want to update that on each one of these as well. So I can't do it, unfortunately, on this index page because this whole thing is already a link. But on the individual tweet, I can update this to be a link to this first part's right, but then I need user path tweet user.username. And so now I can go to any other user's profile. Now the last thing I'm probably going to want to do is actually show something on the user's profile besides just the user. So if I wanted to show, say, someone's tweets here, I could actually do in the controller tweets equals user.tweets, and then inside of the user's show, I could then also put the tweets right below, just like I do on the index. So tweets index, where is this? Here we go. Something like, actually, I could probably copy almost this entire thing over into here. But instead of your account, this is going to be, the other user I'm at. So let's call it, now it's not current user, it's user because that's, I'm on the user profile. So user.username. Maybe inside of here, I'll just put the actual user's name. And then inside of here, I don't need this new tweet because you don't create a new tweet on someone else's profile. here we go. Now I have the user's profile, and then I see all their tweets. So actually, if I go to Matan Grafel, I'm going to see all of my tweets as well on this page. Pretty cool. All right, so we got user profiles now. Congratulations. And before we do anything, let's definitely commit this change. Git add a, git commit message, add user profiles, and I'll go ahead and git push it to Heroku. Well, first let's push it to GitHub. And then git push to Heroku. And then don't forget to run your migrations on Heroku as well to make sure it's working on there.